listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers Neama Rahmani.
When you're alone in a cell and not really able to communicate with many people, it can be extremely lonely, especially if you're being charged with a horrible crime. Maybe talking to someone who's been in your shoes before is helpful. Is it helpful, though, if you are sticking with the story that you had nothing to do with this? Do you really want someone like that to be your pen pal? Apparently, Rex Heuermann very much does want someone like that to be his pen pal. Keith Jesperson, the happy face killer, now communicating on a regular basis. They're on a first-name basis, Keith and Rex, there in the prison. This is something that, I don't know, I mean, it seems like something out of a horror movie very much. Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and attorney, joining us to discuss how common is it for inmates to become pen pals with other folks who've done similar type crimes or alleged to have done other similar type crimes?
Tony, it's not very common, but obviously this is a unique case. I mean, sadly, a lot of these serial killers, they get love letters, from all sorts of fans. And, there's some women that just love dangerous men. But, it's not something that you typically see. But, Rex Heuermann is a legend, apparently, in the serial killer community. I mean, we know that BTK was a fan, maybe thought that there was some copying going on and, taking credit for some of crimes that, he, let's say, started or committed. And now you have the happy face killer. And there are those, similarities, right? Obviously, Keith was alleged to or proven to have killed sex workers, strangled a lot of them. And here's someone who frankly wanted the attention. And I believe the whole happy face thing started when, law enforcement was looking at the wrong person. So, he wanted to say, hey, look at me, I did it. And that was his telltale sign for his murders. But, I agree. Rex Heuermann, certainly not a good look. Anything that comes in and out of that jail, I mean, that's all, there's no privacy. There's no Fourth Amendment protection there. That's all subject to inspection and copying. I'm sure, law enforcement is on top of all of it. So if you're Heuermann's lawyers, the last thing you want is him talking to other convicted serial killers.
It's bizarre. Jesperson giving him, I guess, some sound advice, saying, hey, if you did this, just admit to it. Don't put yourself through it. Don't put your family through it. Just say it and move on. And very interesting reply from Heuermann, I thought fairly telling, saying, thank you for your letter and advice. They've been a help and a comfort to me. I do understand what you have said, and I have taken it to heart. What does that translate to you, mean?
Yeah, well, what I'll say is this. I think Heuermann's family has a million plus reasons for Heuermann not to plead and take the case to trial, right? Quick plea probably is going to make for good TV. Maybe it will, maybe the workup will be the investigation of the case. But obviously, the longer this drags out, and if there is a trial, I mean, can you imagine the Netflix docuseries that we're going to see? I think it's at NBC who has the exclusive rights to this, but I bet you that they won't be the only one covering it because it's going to be a very interesting trial, obviously, because this case went unsolved for so many years. Without
a doubt, the docu-series that is being worked on, yes, it's through Peacock, and even more, I mean, everything about this case just gets stranger and stranger. And when I read the next line of who was producing it, it's being produced by 50 Cent's G-Unit production team. Okay.
I did see that. I guess 50 is getting into he wants his producer credit for IMDb, but
yeah,
the reality is, Tony, and I mean, the reason that you and I are talking and this show exists is people love true crime.
They do.
It's the reality, and especially a case like this that went unsolved for so many years in one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country. So people will be watching, people will be listening, and this is the type of case that likely is going to go to trial, right? Because, New York isn't going to have the death penalty. They're not going to offer him any type of deal, right? It's going to be, you can plead and you can get life, or you can go to trial and you're going to get life. So might as well roll the dice with some crazy defense, whatever he has, and push the case to trial because he has no real incentive to plead aside from keeping his family out of the limelight, but they're profiting from it. So maybe it makes sense just to keep moving forward.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.